So this is the Seiko SRPG29. It's a Seiko 5 field watch. It's also called a 5 Sports Field Series watch. The Seiko 5 field watch bracelets aren't exactly known for being great. In fact, they're very mediocre. They tend to stretch quite a bit. They lose a lot of whatever stability that they have quite quickly. In other words, when you put the watch down, it isn't going to be sitting there on its side with a wide circle. It's going to collapse, and that's just Seiko 5. This particular watch band has pins. The link pins are not the screw down type. They're the split pins, cotter pins, friction pins. And these are the ones which are U-shaped or split on one end. And it holds the links together through friction. Basically, the pin wants to split apart and it puts pressure on each side, which holds the pin in place. And I'm going to have to replace one of the cotter pins on here because the actual diameter of the pin is not sufficient to hold it in place. I need a thicker pin, and I'm going to talk a bit more about how we get into selecting the correct type of pin thickness for our watches. So one of the pins in this watch wasn't holding very well, and so I had to take it out, and I replaced it with a zero point 0.7, but the 0.7 millimeter cotter pin wasn't thick enough to hold the links in place. So that told me that I needed a 0.8 or a 0.9. So what you do is that you buy a small box of link pins, these cotter pins. You can also buy screw pins, but the cotter ones are the split pins that we're going to be using here. And you have to buy a box that's like 0 0.7, 0 0.8, 0 0.9. Now, the diameter of each pin will all be the same inside the box, but their lengths change. And that's really what we want to look at, especially with bracelets that taper down, where the links actually decrease in size the closer that you get to where the clasp is underneath. And so the length of these pins has to change. And each box, while the diameters in the box will be the same, the actual length of each pin will not be the same. I believe I settled on a 0.8. So I've opened up the box. Now, here I am pointing to the direction that the cotter pin goes out. And sometimes on these watches, you'll see on the inside of the bracelet the arrow. That's right, it's that direction. The arrowhead will be on the left side in this instance. It goes in the reverse way. So this side is going to be going in first. So here I'm looking at this, and if I'm looking closely, I'm going, that's slightly too long. It's probably the correct diameter. We're going to find that out. So here I am getting a shorter one out, and I'm going to put them side by side. And I'm going to try and remember the sizes that I've taken out of the box. So I'm going to be putting them back in. But there you go. Now that is slightly shorter, fraction of a millimeter. I'm going to go with that one. So here I am taking the other one away, putting it back in the box, and this is the one we're going to go with, and this is the old one, and I'm going to put this aside for a little while, and we're not going to use that anymore. So this is the split pin that we're going to be working with. Notice I put the lid back on the box. Absolutely essential. If you do not do that, one day, if not the very day that you're working on it, it's going to fall and all the pins are going to be on the floor. Here I have the watch bracelet holder out, and I put the bracelet in there. It's also called a watch band holder, and it has holes going through. You see the big holes, and that means you're able to actually pop through the pins through those holes, and it just makes it easier to work with the band. Now, the weight of the band, the heaviest part of the watch is always going to be the case and the head, so it's going to lean slightly to the right, in which case you might want to put something under it so that it doesn't lean to the right so much. So there's the hole. We can see the hole. I've got that hole over another hole, and I know the direction that the split pin's going to go in because you can see the others to the left of it. You can actually see their splits, yeah? So there you go. It goes in the opposite side of the split. Now, you'll notice that it's kind of loose in there. It's not very, very heavy. I'm using the tweezers just to move it around a bit. Now, it's going to jut out like that. That's quite common because it's not yet expanded inside the link attachment. So there we have this sort of watch repair hammer. It comes with some kits. It's supposed to be used to knock in and out links. I tend to not use it, and this is a way that some people use it. I don't. I found a much better way. Find a flat surface like a table, which you don't mind scarring up a bit, and lean that bit of the pin that's coming out onto the table and listen. And that by far is the best method that I've used. I find that that just works with anything with these split pins. So yeah, as you can see, the split pin is in there. It's the length I want because it matches with all the others. So we're perfectly fine. Now you notice that there's a gap between the links. This happens with how the bracelets are made. To be honest with you, it can happen with just wear over time. They stretch a bit, you get this kind of stretching. And you can put a thicker pin in there if you want, but then I find sometimes that the link doesn't actually curve with your wrist. It just kind of stays jutting out or even juts into your wrist. So as far as I'm concerned, that's fine, that kind of give for this particular bracelet. Here I am opening the clasp up, and I'm holding the watch over a surface the first time I put this on because I need to know for sure that it's not going to fall out. And so here I am pushing my watch band above my wrist bone because I wear my watches above the bone. Above the bone, sir. Wear your watch above the bone. And there you go. I'm giving it a good old twist and twirl and see what happens. And the watch is staying on. It's staying on quite well. I'm quite happy with how solid it feels on my wrist. It feels like it's really holding on tight. And that's what I would expect from a link that works. Okay, so here we have the field watches out. I'm just admiring the time on this thing. And again, it's my beater. It's going to have a few scratches on it and here and there. And so I want to show you how to set the time. I think now's good a time as any to show how to set the time. And this is how you set a time on a watch like this. It's really, really interesting how it's done. It's not how you think. And it's definitely the best way to do it. So first of all, you have the 12 o'clock, okay? So you have a choice here. You can pull the crown out to two positions. The first position actually works with the date, yeah? So as you can see, I'm turning the crown clockwise and it's moving the days. And they're going through some German ones as well, because this version of the watch, it's got English and German. Now, as you can see, I've moved it through the days. Yeah, it's going forward there very, very slowly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the day before the one I want. Okay, that's important. The day before the one that you want. So if today's Friday, pick Thursday. There we have Thursday. Yeah. If it's Thursday that you want, pick Wednesday, etc. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to pick the day before. Now, if you turn the crown, and by the way, it's different for all the manuals. It depends on the movement. So read the manual that comes with your watch, and that will tell you which way you need to pull the crown and move the crown in order to change functions in the watch. Yeah. So we're in the first position. Now I'm going to go anti-clockwise, and as you can see, anti-clockwise actually changes the date, like what day it is, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, whatever. And what I'm going to do is go to the day before. So again, I'm going to aim for the day before the actual date that I want. So I know I'm heading for a Saturday and I want Saturday the 21st. So I'm going to set this to the 20th. Okay, so we're on Friday the 20th, which is the day before. And this is really important because how these watches work. Now, I'm pushing the crown back in the full way before I pull it out to the second position. I find it's much better to push in and go to the position you want than to try and push into the position or pull out to the position. Just push the crown fully in and then out to the second position. And here we're going to set the time. Now, do you remember I had it the day before? That's because at midnight, those change over. And you're not sure which one is midnight until you turn the hands of the clock. So here we are, Friday the 20th, and I've got 10 past 10. Now, is that AM or is it PM? I don't know. This particular movement won't tell me. But here I am closing in. It's got to be midnight because we're seeing some movement with the date function. So we know that the day has changed. And do you remember I wanted Saturday the 21st? So here we are coming into Saturday morning. There we go. Already after 3 a.m., I've got Saturday the 21st. And now I can actually set the time. I know I'm on the right day and I'm in the morning before noon. And so I just look at the time. And if it's before noon, then I set it before noon. We're actually in the afternoon. So here I am setting it to the afternoon. And that's how we set the time on a watch which has a date complication. If the second hand stops moving when you're changing the time, that's called hacking, and it's used for everybody to sync their watches at the same time by pushing the crown back in. And there we go. The crown is back in, the watch is moving. That's the watch set up. We're good to go. Thank you very much for watching.